I want you to like this video if you've ever been personally victimized by trending Twitter models. No? Just me? Okay. In April of 2023, I was the first person to launch a productized operations service. It added the most money that I've ever seen in one quarter to my bank account. It also gave me the two worst clients in the history of my business. And most importantly, it was a masterclass in what I wanted to offer versus what I thought I did. And lastly, it taught me that this model is nothing but a growth hack with little to no long-term return if you are a solopreneur. Now, I know what you're thinking, Sarah, you are so smart. You're brilliant. How did you fall for a Twitter bros growth hack? Girl, I wish I knew. Honestly, I really do know how it happened, and I will tell you about it shortly. But for the new kids on the block, let's share some productized service is weird. I think it's weird. It's almost like ChatGPT was asked to name an offer, but retainer and subscription somehow was not in its vocabulary, because that's what this is. It's a reoccurring revenue model. A product, however, is a one-time payment for an item that has already been created. Not to mention, productized services are a high-demand, continual commitment for as long as someone's credit card is getting processed. The misconception being sold online, though, is that, well, there's no proposals, there's no quotes, there's no back and forth, there's no communication whatsoever, and that the client gets exactly what they paid for, unlimited work for one flat fee. Which in theory is correct, I guess, if you want to call that productized. Except clients are paying anywhere from 3 to 4 figure monthly rates over and over, whether the quality and actual needed work is there. Oh yeah, and let's not forget, no returns, no takebacks.
Got it!
That's exactly what looped me into this model earlier last year. I have always hated the proposal process for projects, and I am by no means above sending a proposal, okay? But to be totally transparent and frank, it's where I actually feel the most self-doubt and imposter syndrome. And so I quit doing them years ago. So instead, I've been able to bring that work internally to quantify the time that I spend, consider my expertise and my availability. And not to mention, know what I need in order to pay my bills and survive. So technically you could say that my agency is productized because I only custom quote enterprise and special circumstance projects, but I didn't have the language for that 2, 3, 4, 5 years ago. And I didn't know what a productized service was until I found Brett from Design Joy. His interview with Brett Malinowski absolutely blew my mind to hear how stupidly simple he runs his business, and on the flip side, how much he profits. And hate me all you want for saying this, but I have never heard a successful female business owner doing that well share even remotely similar tactics. All the education I've ever taken has honestly made me feel like I wasn't doing enough, that I didn't have enough products, I didn't have enough lead funnels, that I didn't have XYZ, and that's why I wasn't succeeding the way that I envisioned. And Brett's model made me finally feel like, I do not need to constantly overproduce in order to prove my worth and find success as an entrepreneur. So I dove in further. I paid for his course because I wanted to hear more about the inner workings, the real tea, if you will. And I wanted to learn about what happens with problem clients. How do you plan for holidays or vacations? It was imperative that if I was going to pivot yet again, that it had to be right. It had to be perfect. It had to be the best. Now, keep in mind, Brett is a designer. This is meant for design retainers because let's call it what it is. It's a retainer. It's a subscription retainer. It's vastly different than selling an operations retainer, which is what I did with what I called work hubs. It was very different. And I knew that going in, but to be totally honest, I was very optimistic. So I built my little sales page, set up the checkout in Stripe, and I was ready to go on Product Hunt, just as I was promised was the golden ticket to success based on his program. And while I wasn't a total flop, I got great testimonials from my friends. I did not sell a single seat for work hubs for almost 45 days. And it wasn't until, this is the key here, that I dismantled the sales page. I removed the phrase unlimited and I back added in clear strategic elements. And that was what helped me land 4 clients in a 10-day period, 2 of whom paid me outright for the quarter without ever even speaking to me. We never got on a sales call. When I tell y'all, the strategy session for those 2 clients were the most awkward thing because I didn't know them. I was like, okay, so like, hi, I'm Sara. It was so weird. And 2 of the other clients turned out to be the worst clients I'd ever experienced. So much so that by the end of October, just 90 days later, I honestly almost quit freelancing altogether. I was done. I didn't want to do it anymore. I was so burnt out. I was crying and mad and angry constantly, which if y'all know me, I am not an emotional person. It takes a lot to break me down. And when I tell y'all, those clients wrecked me. Okay. So who knows? Maybe I am not cut out for retainer work. Maybe, I don't know. Because even when I had my design agency before I shifted back into biz ops, I never did retainer as a designer either. So maybe I'm just not cut out for it. Maybe I don't know. But what I do know and what I realized in all of this excitement is how much work it actually takes to get someone's business to the level that retainer support makes sense. Because outside of design, you can't, yes, you can do retainer, but I think that it's harder. I think as a design retainer, it's very easy to be like, oh, I need these social graphics. Oh, I need this flyer, right? We need a new sales page. When it comes to operations, 95% of my clients have no idea what they need. And so when it comes to unlimited requests and retainer, I need to be in their business every day. I need to know. I can't just sit here and say, oh, you guys need a new org chart? Great. And so if you do it as well as I do, this is the other thing. If you do it as well as I do, more than likely, your client shouldn't need you on retainer, except for once in a blue moon. Maybe they want to fix something randomly. And honestly, it's probably the Catholic guilt in me, okay? Regardless of my religious beliefs now, I grew up Catholic, went to Catholic school. That guilt will always be baked into my DNA, okay? So I just don't feel comfortable charging a $5,000 monthly retainer without producing work that is of equal value. I just don't. And just taking people's money, maybe the larger companies that have throwaway money, even in that sense, pay your employees more. Don't just find a contractor to just throw money at and not utilize them. I don't know. I digress. Let me get off the soapbox because we should actually talk about the elephant in the room if you can actually make this Twitter model successful. And I do think so. Regardless of how much negativity I have just spewed at you, I do think that you can be successful if you ignore this whole idea of just launch a landing page over the weekend and actually build a model that's custom to your business. I definitely think you can do that. But what I want you to do is ask yourself the 3 Bs: bored, burnt out, and broke. Okay. So number 1, what work can I do over and over and over again that I will not be bored of? Okay. Number 2, how much of that work can I handle before I'm burnt out? And number 3, am I okay being on a financial roller coaster of high earn and high churn? And can I get over the fear of being broke until I've created a sustainable model? Like I mentioned before, it took me 45 days to land a client. And luckily, I still had clients from my old model and I had payment plans coming in, so I wasn't as stressed. But once those are over and that's gone, what do you have? Because that's just it. In this model, there will be very high periods of income. I did 40K in 10 days. And then at any time, a client can drop or you let them go for various reasons. And maybe you were not expecting to do that. And so you're going to have to scramble to make up that income. And between the scrambling, there are several other things that you have to juggle, like the unpredictability of work requests coming in, building a portfolio, marketing to sign on more clients, and maintaining all of the processes that go with it. At least with regular client work, in my opinion, you have a set project period. The finish line isn't far off most of the time, and then after you have time to tweak and fix things without interference. And the truth is that you will not know if you can handle this model or if it's actually what you want to do until you are in the thick of it. And at that point, your quality is probably dipped so low that you're just on a hamster wheel trying to play catch up at midnight on a Saturday. And I'm not just saying that. That was literally me. If you go back on my YouTube channel, you guys know that I live stream my work, and I had 2 specific nights that I pulled all-nighters because I couldn't catch up with the work. And if this is not any sort of clear enough for you, the only way to get out of that is to hire a team in this model. Whether you say you actually have one or not, there's no way as a solo worker that you can maintain this type of work. There's just not. And I suppose to combat that, like, you could build up a library of assets and templates to duplicate over and over again. But if you're doing visual work, that will catch up to you at some point, because clients are going to share what you did for them. They're going to tag you, and then people are just going to see the work over and over and over again floating around the internet, which boils down to ethics. But at that point, you might as well just sell the templates instead and be completely hands off. And what I think that you need in order to be successful in a subscription service is flat out confidence. It's uncrackable systems, it's patience, and full control over your clients coming in. And that is why you shouldn't allow anyone to book and pay for the subscription without vetting them first. I think that is the biggest pitfall of this entire growth model, is just allowing people to pay it at any point. It's not going to kill you to get on a sales call and make sure y'all are a good fit. And if you want to go after this, please do that. That is the only, if you take anything away from this video, keep your sales calls, because trust me, the theory that a 5K client is easier than a $500 client is absolute bullshit. And you deserve to fill out the crazies. Filter them out. Get rid of them. Keep the prices. Allow them to book on that call. That's fine. But you have zero control if you allow people to pay upfront on your website. Trust me, I've seen the light, and I will never, ever do that again.
You go, Glen Coco.
So now that our therapy session is coming to a close, I will say that since I've changed my model, I've taken down the ability to pay me up front. I've kind of hidden the fact that I am productized through my website, and I've brought all of the productization in-house to make sales easier for me. I think there's a lot of upsides. So if you want me to share that, share more into how I've set it up, how I manage mine, just comment a fire emoji down below. That sounds good. Let's do fire emojis. And maybe we'll call that video the brighter side of productized services.
Ew.